You're acting as if these people have chosen to have such restricted opportunities in their life. In most cases, poverty is something that happens to you, not something that you choose. You've got to get this notion that these are just lazy and feckless individuals out of your mind. They're not. They're working full time just to maintain the bare minimum. I don't see why a bit of compassion is out of order. If it were you in their position, unable to catch a break, unable to get off the bottom rung, are you honestly going to sit there and tell me that you would say the blame lies entirely with you and none of it lies on the system within which you are trapped?
The system in which you are trapped? That sounds a little social justice-y to me. Now, I say that tongue-in-cheek, and I hope you'll permit me that little bit of sarcasm as we start this video. Hello, my name's Jeremiah, and I'm going to be responding to Sargon of Akkad's The False Narrative of the Working Poor. I encourage you to check out his videos, as he does have some very interesting commentary. I'll begin by saying that raising the minimum wage is not compassionate. An individual can show compassion. A society cannot. Now, you can have people who try to demonstrate their compassion by voting to increase the minimum wage, but even if a majority do that, that doesn't mean that everyone who's now paying the higher prices is showing compassion. And there will be higher prices because the increased cost of labor will be passed on to the consumer. The other reason it's not compassionate to raise the minimum wage is because it costs us jobs when we do it. The Congressional Budget Office calculated that raising the minimum wage would cost 500,000 jobs. And the reason for this is the supply and demand chart of economics. When we increase the cost of something, it decreases the demand. So if we increase the cost of a worker's time, employers will be willing to purchase less time. Now, that same CBO report also said that raising the minimum wage would take 900,000 people out of poverty and increase the real wages of middle-income households, but I don't think that's a good trade-off because we're losing jobs, we're losing the ability for people to be mobile in their jobs, and we might be taking someone from $20,000 a year to $25,000 a year. But that really doesn't help in the long term. It may help in the short term to deal with short-term issues, but it doesn't help to build someone's savings or to help them buy those luxury items that we've been talking about. Raising the minimum wage doesn't directly address poverty either, because only about 4.7% of American workers were working for the minimum wage. So we're talking about a very small minority of the population. And in addition to that, even some of those people in that 4.7% aren't living in poverty. That includes spouses who are working to bring in extra income when their husband or wife might already earn a very good living. And it also includes teenagers and college students and people who are working part-time but living at home who are having other expenses taken care of. So raising the minimum wage, I would argue, is not the most compassionate thing you can do. I think the most compassionate thing you can do is to put your own money towards individuals and groups that have a proven track record of helping people out of poverty. After all, if I find out that a group is being defrauded or using their money in a way I don't like, I can always stop funding that group. However, if the government taxes me more or increases the minimum wage, I don't have that option. If I fail to pay my taxes, then the government just takes the money or they throw me in jail. And if I don't want to pay the increased prices that raising the minimum wage creates, then I can't buy those items. And so that really puts you in a situation where you get frustrated and you lash out in the way that the commenter that sparked the initial video did. Of course, I don't think that people who live in poverty are feckless or lazy. I actually think they're quite industrious and hardworking, but I also think they're selfish because it is selfish to demand something at the sacrifice of someone else. It's also selfish for people to hoard something at the expense of someone else. So people who refuse to be compassionate are also selfish. People who have the means to be compassionate and refuse to be compassionate are also selfish. So we're just selfish people. I'll close out this video by saying that I do find Sargon's commentary interesting, and I don't mean any offense. I just disagree with the best way of showing compassion and helping to raise people out of poverty. Thanks for watching.